terms of non-conference, both for what Clemson has produced the last 3 years and just teams that tend to make the turn on the bubble. How does your philosophy shape for this particular year?
Well, we're going to have a tough schedule. Some of it you can't control. This is the frustrating part. You sign up for these tournaments sometimes 3 years in advance. And, you kind of know the names of some of the schools. Sometimes you don't know the names of the schools who's in with you. You just know they're filled. There's going to be somebody from this league, somebody from that league. And so, for example, our Las Vegas tournament this year wasn't what I thought it was in some ways. You know what I mean? I thought we were going to get a couple, and we didn't win against UMass. UMass killed us. And they played great that day, and we couldn't have beat UMass that day. We wouldn't have beat, UMass at all that day. But at the end of the day, that's no disrespect to them. You think you're getting into these teams playing X, Y, and Z against high majors and top 50s, and you try to do all those things, but that's a puzzle piece that you're always trying to juggle. To where if you can win enough games with the right kind of schedule, you have a chance to put yourself in a position to play to get into the NCAA tournament. Our performance, as much as anything, even more than maybe our schedule, kept us out this year. Our schedule wasn't great. It ended up not being as good as we hoped. Some of the teams that we tried to schedule didn't do as well, especially some of the couple guarantees. Minnesota had a tough year, but we didn't play well enough to do all that. Obviously, we improved through Christmas and played our way into the conversation despite all that because of the 3 top 25 wins in a row. And then we couldn't close it. And to be honest with you, in terms of one of the reasons we don't have a closer. Jerron was a great player, but it's not as easy sometimes to play through him as it is a guard who can just, go make as many plays. You still have to find ways to get Jerron the ball, and there are more challenges with that than maybe people realize sometimes. He's an unbelievable player. Had an unbelievable year, but there were a couple times, in games where we tried to get him the ball late in the game and we weren't able to get him the ball. And sometimes you just got to have a guy who can get by and get in the lane and make things happen and do things and help close out games. Most games at the end of the game, the last minute of the game, it's really not some super great play that a coach draws up. It's a player making a play. And we've got to get it to where we've got more guys, a couple guys that are ready to make a play at the end of a game to win some of these close games. And that's important.
Have you and D-Red sat down already and kind of talked about the future with the program and all that?
No, we haven't really. I mean, he's been into my office, 3 or 4 times and just been, appreciative of the way that our guys handled this year and the kind of enthusiasm that we built with Greenville. And, I'm sure he's a little disappointed at the end that we didn't, make the tournament like we all were. But I think he sees a lot of the really good things that are going on. I know he does. And I think he appreciates the way some of our guys have continued to develop. I know he sees the positive things we have with guys sitting out waiting to play. And obviously I talked to him about this a couple years ago when we were talking about, hey, we're going to look at, adding a few more transfers, and we think it's a new avenue for recruiting that is a good one for us, and there's going to be some guys that we'll have a chance to get that either we're recruiting them the second time and we'll want to maybe do our situation a little bit better now, or but just the way and a little bit's the culture of basketball now. It's just the way basketball is. You look at a bunch of the teams in our league, and there's a bunch of Miami obviously has made a living off it, and that's one of the reasons they've been able to kind of elevate their program. Coach Larinaga done a phenomenal job, but it's a lot of it's because of some of the quality transfers they've had. There's you look at a lot of rosters, and there's a lot of teams operating with a transfer or two that are significant players, and so he's recognized that and seen it, and he's been very positive.
You say 3 or 4 times, like during the course of the year, or just like?
No, here recently, just the last couple of times. I mean, he obviously we talk almost every week, obviously, about sometimes it's business and sometimes it's not, and just checking in, and occasionally he has a question about what we're doing, or I'm coming in there and ask him something, and we have a very good relationship, and I think we're both very excited and optimistic about the future.
Do you still feel like that you can get a lot of improvement out of Dante and Avery and Gabe, or those 3 guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I think those guys are important pieces, like everyone. we're hoping that Dante's going to make another big jump. I thought he made a smaller jump this year. Gabe made a smaller jump this year, but really, his first time to play consistently. Avery, just adapting to the level. It's easy for all of us to just look at somebody that's sitting out and just be like, wow, wait till that guy gets eligible. Things are going to be different. This guy's going to come in and just do unbelievable things. But there's an adjustment period to this level in this league. Like, this is a very difficult basketball league, and with really good players. And so, Avery Holmes and Marquise Reed that are transferring up and coming to a higher level, it's great that they're a year older and they've gotten bigger and stronger sitting out and they start to know our system. But when they get out there live against those kind of athletes, it's showtime, and it's big and it's consistent. It's not playing an ACC team and then once a month. It's playing them twice in a week or 3 times in a week. And if you have weaknesses, they'll be exposed. And Avery did some really good things this year. He played well at certain times, and he had a couple games that didn't go as well. And he's going to continue to work. That'll motivate him. But I think that's part of what drives all of us.
You're still trying to open against Georgia?
Yeah.
And any other road non-conference games besides South
We
Carolina?
go to Alabama. We obviously return the game to Alabama. We look at Georgia and Alabama and South Carolina. I mean, it's funny. Last year we were great against the SEC. I don't remember. I read 3-0 or 3-1 or something. This year we couldn't beat them, and I don't know what that was. Obviously, we lost heartbreaker to Alabama, and challenging game with South Carolina, and Georgia just pounded us when JB was not 100%. But those teams are all top 75 teams right now, and I think they have good rosters coming back. And so, again, like, that's one of the challenges, at our place is we've played some teams like that, and we go on the road some more than some teams. Some of the Dukes and Carolinas, they don't play very many non-neutral away games. They don't go into somebody. They don't go to Georgia. They don't go to Alabama and play a game. We don't have the kind of swag right now where we can call up, the Barclays Center and say, hey, we want a neutral court game with somebody from Villanova. Make that happen. It's Clemson and Villanova. Let's make that happen. We're not at that point yet. We're hoping to get there. So, we have to then sign up for a home and home. And, those are more difficult and more challenging. And, but that's what we've tried to do. And we hope that, those teams are good teams. And, we got to figure out more ways to win those games. And that's the one thing I've been frustrated with myself, is not being able to figure out how to do a better job of that.
I know next year will be all about the new arena, but are you privy to talks? Have there been to try to maybe play one game a year over in Greenville, since it was such a good experience?
There's a possibility that could happen. Obviously we'd be giving up some things. It costs more. It's a little bit more difficult for our team. But there's a chance that could happen, certainly. I'm not going to guarantee that it's going to happen. I don't know. So a lot of our schedule is already set. Sometimes we get on these 2-year cycles where a lot of the games kind of get set in a 2-year window, but that's certainly something that could happen. We'll see.